Well, guys, today I'll talk a little bit on regression analysis. So, in the simplest of the understanding, when we talk about regression analysis, it means like we are trying to find out the causal relationship between the variables. When I say variables, means like we come across a number of economic variables in our everyday life. So, we just want to find out how one variable is affecting the other variable, or how one variable may be affected by the other variable. And of course we can also find out like and by how much amount it is affecting the other variable, or by how much amount one variable is being affected by the other variable. So let's take for an example about the literacy rate of India. So we want to we want to check like how the literacy rate of India is being affected by the amount of money or the education budget that is being spent yearly for India for over so many years. That is, generally the government of India does spend or makes the education budget for improving the literacy rate of India. That is it. So we just want to find out by how much amount the literacy rate of India has been increasing or decreasing due to the increase or decrease in the expenditure in education or the education budget that is being done in India. Or we can say like what happens to the literacy rate due to changes in the educational expenditure of say for example India. Okay, and suppose say we have the yearly data. Maybe let's take for an example for the period 2000 to say suppose say maybe 2019. We also have suppose that the literacy rate of India, suppose say it is 73 for 2075 for 2001 and so on. And also we have the education budget of India, suppose say it is 5.5 lakh rupees and it is suppose say 7.2 lakh rupees. That India has been trying to do that. That means India suppose wants to increase the literacy rate of India, and so it has been going on increasing the education budget that is being made for India. So we literally want to understand how this education budget, all right, how this education budget is affecting the literacy rate of India, whether it has been able to improve or not. That is what we want to check actually. That is what we can make or how we can analyze with the help of regression analysis. So generally what we do with the help of regression analysis is, suppose we have this data like I told you, and then accordingly what we model is we have a set of dependent variables and a set of independent variables, right? We are saying like what the literacy rate is being affected by the amount of money or the education budget that is done by the Indian government, right? So your literacy rate becomes your dependent variable, and we are saying it like what? Literacy rate is a function of the education budget. So it is like literacy rate is a dependent variable, or we can also call it as the endogenous variables, the other name. And we have the education budget that is an independent variable, and we can also call this as the exogenous variables. So it depends, like it has a number of names that accordingly we can sort it out or we can name accordingly. Anyway, so how do we frame this with the help of a regression analysis is of much important than any other things like. So accordingly we put the literacy rate on the left hand side, it becomes your dependent variable, and we put what we call the intercept term. That is, it helps us to understand like from where it has begun, like or what is the minimum rate of the, or what is the minimum amount of the dependent variable that can be found out with the help of this intercept term. Now accordingly I have put it positive and negative. Like what I told you is, because see, the education budget of India may be increasing or decreasing the literacy rate of India. So if the education budget is increasing the literacy rate of India, we call it to be positive, or the result comes out to be positive. Now if the education budget of India, after the budget that is being framed and we spend the amount of money, that amount of money has been allocated for uh, spending in education sector, then if suppose still after a lot of expenditure the literacy rate has not been able to increase, then of course this will come out to be negative. That means education budget is having a negative impact on the rate of growth of literacy rate of India. That means it is not able to increase the rate of literacy rate in India. In fact, it is decreasing if it comes out to be negative. Anyway, now if this beta will tell us, this beta will tell us like by how much amount, if it is increasing, if it is positive, by how much amount it is increasing, or at what rate it is increasing, and if it is negative, at what rate it is decreasing. That is what it will tell us, the amount, right? This beta will tell us the exact amount by how much it is increasing or decreasing in our regression analysis. Of course, and we also have what we call the disturbance term. I'll of course talk more on this disturbance term, because the whole econometric analysis depends on the assumptions that we make for the disturbance term, and it is a very important. But here I'll talk only the basics of why we generally go for regression analysis and what we are actually trying to find out with the help of this regression analysis. All right. So anyway, mathematically, just to make it short, what we do is we say like y, your literacy rate, alpha, your minimum literacy rate it will give you, and now this plus minus sign it will give us like, because we are not sure like whether the amount of money that is being spent for agriculture has been able to improve or worsen the case of literacy rate in India. We still do not know that. We still do not know whether it is having a positive impact, or whether the education budget is having a positive impact or a negative impact on the literacy rate of India. Like, yes, I said X is an independent variable, your disturbance term. Yeah. So anyway, with the help of this regression analysis, so we can find out, by how much amount the literacy rate would increase or decrease due to the increase in or decrease in the amount of education budget for so many different years, right? So accordingly, when we go for after estimation using OLS, right? Basically, we use OLS. So after estimation, when we estimate this regression equation, we get it to be y cap is equal to alpha cap plus beta cap x. Now y cap will indicate like you have, that is your estimated value of your dependent variables. Alpha cap will also indicate like it is your estimated value of the intercept term, and beta cap will mean like it is your estimated value of the parameter or the slope. So accordingly, suppose we get your estimated equation to be, suppose say it is like y cap is equal to 70 plus we get it the slope is equal to 0.007x, and then accordingly we will interpret it as, suppose say like alpha cap will give us like what, or 70, or alpha cap will give us like what, the minimum literacy rate that is prevailing in India, that is the amount of the origin, or what we call it the minimum literacy rate that is prevailing in India. That is what we can find out with the help of this alpha cap, or that is 70. And we say, suppose we get it to be 70, then it is, we call it to be like 70%. Since like I gave an example, like your literacy rate is in terms of uh, in terms of percentage. Now this beta cap will give us the rate of change in y due to change in x, or what we call it del y by del x. Or simply in literal terms, what we can understand is it will give us like due to 1 rupees increase in the education budget. So what is the amount of increase in the literacy rate, that will be interpreted, or this beta cap will give us the amount, by how much amount that our literacy rate has been, whether it has been increasing or decreasing or not. Suppose it is 0.007, so I call it to be 0.07%, just by multiplying 0.007 into 100%, right? So that is how you interpret, making a simple regression analysis. Anyway, for your simple understanding, I have given this definition that you can go through, so that what is the simplest of the definition, and how it is, how we generally framed it. When do we generally frame for a multiple regression, or what you call it, the regression analysis. So that's all for today again, guys. Thank you.